Hi everyone, I am Priyadharsini. I have completed Bachelor's in Optometry. Currently, I am pursuing my fellowship in Strabismus Management at Indian Academy of Optometry. Today, I am going to demonstrate identification of the squint based on the direction of deviation, competency, corneal reflex, cover test. Strabismus is nothing but misalignment of eye or the deviation of the eye. Based on the deviation, it is again classified into esodiviation, exodiviation, hyperdeviation, hypodeviation. If the eye is deviated outward, it is known as exodiviation. If the eye is deviated inward, it is known as esodiviation. If the eye is deviated towards upward, it is known as hyperdeviation, and if the eye is deviated downward, it is known as hypodeviation. If there is any torsional movement and the eye is moved inward in visual axis, it is in cyclodeviation. If the eye is rotated outward, it is ex-cyclodeviation. Cases of latency, it is again classified into manifest, which is also known as tropia. It is a misalignment of the eye that is visible even when both the eyes are open. Latent, which is also known as phoria, it is manifested only when the binocular fusion is disturbed. It is also classified based on the competency. Competency is of two types, incompetency and concompetency. In incompetency, the deviation will be same in all direction of the gases. In concompetency, the direction or the deviation or misalignment will be vary in different gaze positions. Next, based on the corneal reflex test, we can identify the squint, which is also known as Hirschberg test. It is performed using torchlight. For this, we should shine the light onto the nose bridge of the patient, and we will be noting the corneal reflex and the alignment of the corneal reflex. If the light reflex is directed nasally, it is known as exodeviation. If the light reflex is directed temporally, it is known as the esodiviation. If the light reflex is upward, it is hypodeviation, and if the light reflex is downward, it is hyperdeviation. Of deviation is based on the light reflex. If the light reflex is at the pupillary margin, the degree of deviation is 15 degree. If the corneal reflex is between the pupillary margin and the limbal margin, the degree of deviation is 30 degree. If it is at the limbal margin, it is noted that 45 degree of deviation. If the corneal reflex is at the sclera, it is noted as 60 degree or more than that deviation. Now I am going to explain the cover test in front of the patient. Now I am going to start assessing the patient. We will start first with the competency test. Front எப்பே பாருங்க, தலையாசிக்காதீங்க சார். Okay. Next, we will do the corneal reflex test. The reflex is at the center of the margin, so the patient is ortho. Now I am going to start with the cover test. Give the distance target to the patient. Durama paarenga sir. The other eye. Now alternate cover test. Patient is ortho. Thank you.